The wind startled me that morning. I was standing on the porch, barefoot, a cup of coffee cooling between my hands. The Carolina sun was only beginning to wake, stretching its light through the clouds when a sudden breeze swept past, the kind that reminds you how alive the world still is, even when you feel anything but. That's when Mark appeared at the steps, my son-in-law, my daughter's husband. For a moment, time simply stopped. My heart stuttered. The air felt different, heavier, charged. His eyes met mine and held there, saying nothing but speaking volumes all the same. Silence can be a strange kind of confession, and his felt like one I wasn't ready to hear. There was no embarrassment in his face, no shock, just something older, quieter, maybe even broken. That single second between us didn't feel like an accident. It felt like the beginning of something I couldn't name. Before I tell you what happened after, I should tell you who I am. My name is Lorraine. I'm 60 years old, and I live alone now in a small white house just outside Savannah. The walls are filled with pictures, smiles frozen in time, belonging to a woman who doesn't quite feel like me anymore. I was married once for 34 years. 2 years ago he left for someone younger, a woman with a bright laugh, and eyes that never stayed long enough to see the truth. I didn't cry when he left. I had already done that while he was still here. The quiet after him wasn't peaceful, it was empty. Mark is 35. He's been with my daughter Julia for nearly a decade. She used to tell me he made her feel seen, but lately, I think both of them have forgotten how to look. So that morning, when he stood on my porch, everything about it felt off. Not wrong, just uncertain. "Morning, Lorraine," he said finally. His tone was steady, but the crack in his voice betrayed something softer underneath. "You're early," I replied, though I had no idea why he'd come. He smiled, the kind of half-smile people wear when they're trying to hide a thought. "Julia mentioned you might need someone to check the gutters." We both knew it was a lie. The way he said it, too casual, too quick, told me there was something else beneath it. The air between us shifted. The breeze carried the faint smell of coffee and old wood. Somewhere a wind chime swayed, trembling like a nervous thought. He looked at me then, really looked, as if searching for something hidden beneath the quiet exterior I'd learned to wear so well. I couldn't tell if it was guilt I saw in his eyes or loneliness. Maybe both. And that was when I realized something that shook me. I wasn't sure which one of us had crossed an invisible line first. I could have stepped back inside. I could have closed the door, but I didn't. Instead, I moved aside and whispered, "Come in." He walked past me slowly, close enough for me to feel the warmth radiating from his body, a reminder of how long it had been since I'd felt anything that real. He didn't look back, but the silence he left behind did. That night, I stood in front of the mirror, staring not at the years written on my skin, but at the questions I couldn't silence. What had he seen in me that morning? And why did I want him to see it? I wish I could tell you that moment ended there, just an awkward pause in a lonely day. But it didn't. Single quotes the next afternoon, his truck pulled into my driveway. I hadn't called him. Julia hadn't said a word. Yet there he was again, calm, familiar, carrying something I couldn't name. This time I was prepared. A simple dress, a cardigan, composed, polite. I told myself I was in control. He smiled when I opened the door. "Thought I'd check your kitchen sink," he said lightly. Julia said it was dripping. Another lie. Another silence. I let him in anyway. He sat at the kitchen table while I moved about, pretending to tidy things that were already tidy. I could feel his eyes following me, not with desire, but with something quieter. Curiosity, maybe? Empathy? Loneliness? Recognizing itself? After a while, he spoke. "You doing all right?" It was a simple question, but it hit harder than I expected. "I'm fine," I said, though I wasn't sure I was. He smiled faintly. "You just seem quieter lately." "I suppose I am," I admitted. He nodded, his voice lowering. "Sometimes I walk around the house with Julia and feel like a guest, like we're just pretending to be what we used to be." For a long time, neither of us spoke. I don't know why, but his words settled somewhere deep inside me. Finally, I said softly, "Marriage isn't always a home. Sometimes it's just a hallway with too many closed doors." And that's where it began, not with a touch or a glance, but with the quiet understanding of two people who had both forgotten what it meant to be seen.